You don't rise into a new year by accident. You rise by choice. I know where you are right now, standing between who you were and who you're meant to become. You've been strong for a long time, quietly strong, but strength without direction can turn into exhaustion. And before the calendar changes, some things in you must change first. Not because you're broken, but because you're becoming. Take this as a conversation from the heart. 10 truths, 10 improvements, 10 steps toward a life that finally feels aligned. Let me start with the one thing most people wait for and almost never find: motivation. We treat it like a miracle, like lightning has to strike before we move. We tell ourselves, when I feel inspired, I'll begin. When I feel confident, I'll try. When the fire comes, I'll change my life. But here's the truth I learned early, and I learned it the hard way. Motivation is unreliable. It's emotional. It's moody. It shows up when life is easy and disappears the moment things get uncomfortable. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel when you wake up. Discipline doesn't negotiate with fear. Discipline doesn't wait for applause. Discipline is a quiet promise you make to yourself and keep, especially on the days when nobody is watching. There were days in my life when I was exhausted before the day even began. Days when doubt sat heavier than hope. Days when I questioned whether the dream was worth the price it was asking of me. And on those days, motivation was nowhere to be found. But discipline showed up. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. And that steadiness changed everything. Discipline is how you respect the life you say you want. It's how you tell the universe, I'm serious. It's waking up when you don't feel like it. Practicing when no one is clapping. Preparing when the results are still invisible. Discipline is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. Here's something no one tells you. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is born from action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you build trust with your own soul. And that trust becomes confidence. Not the loud kind, the unshakable kind. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You don't need the perfect mood. You don't even need clarity. You just need a decision. A decision to show up today. A decision to take one step. A decision to do the work, even when the work feels ordinary. Because extraordinary lives are built on ordinary days done with discipline. Think about it. No one sees the early mornings. No one sees the lonely nights. No one sees the repetitions, the rejections, the silent resilience. They only see the moment it finally works and call it luck. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it was discipline that carried you there. And let me say this gently but clearly. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll keep postponing the life that's waiting for you. Readiness is a myth. Growth happens after you begin, not before. Some days you'll feel inspired. Celebrate those days. But most days you won't. Honor those days even more. Because discipline is not punishment. It's self-love with structure. It's saying, I deserve the results that come from consistency. It's saying, my future matters more than my excuses. And when you practice discipline long enough, something beautiful happens. Motivation starts chasing you. Energy follows effort. Clarity follows commitment. Strength follows consistency. Before 2026 arrives, don't promise yourself miracles. Promise yourself habits. Promise yourself effort. Promise yourself that no matter how you feel, you will show up with integrity. Because discipline is the bridge between who you are today and who you've been praying to become. And once you build that bridge, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not delay, can stop you from crossing it. Let's talk about the conversation you have with yourself when no one else is listening. Because long before the world believes in you, you decide whether you believe in yourself. And that decision is made in words. Quiet ones, repeated ones. The kind that shapes your identity without asking permission. Most people don't realize this, but your life moves in the direction of your self-talk. Not your talent, not your education, not even your opportunities. Your inner dialogue sets the ceiling. I've stood on stages, walked into rooms where I was the only one who looked like me, sounded like me, came from where I came from. And before anyone else had the chance to doubt me, a voice inside whispered, "Do you really belong here?" That voice didn't come from the outside. It came from years of absorbing fear, comparison, and quiet conditioning. Here's the truth. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. It doesn't know the difference between a fact and a habit. So when you say, "I'm not enough," it starts building evidence. When you say, "I'm always late in life," it means delays. When you say, "I can't do this," it looks for exits. But the opposite is also true. When you speak with faith, even shaky faith, your mind begins to look for possibility. When you choose patience over punishment, you create room to grow. When you talk to yourself with respect, your life starts responding differently. This doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you stop abusing yourself in the name of honesty. You can acknowledge your flaws without attacking your worth. You can admit fear without surrendering to it. You can be gentle with yourself and still be disciplined. The strongest people I know are not the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who don't let doubt narrate their lives. Pay attention to what you say after a mistake. Pay attention to what you say when something doesn't work. Pay attention to how quickly you blame yourself for things still unfolding. If your inner voice is cruel, success will feel unsafe. If your inner voice is patient, growth will feel possible. And listen to me closely here. Your self-talk should sound like wisdom, not punishment. It should sound like guidance, not judgment. The world is already loud with opinions. You don't need to add another enemy inside your own head. There were moments when I had to consciously stop mid-thought and say, "That's not true." Not because the fear wasn't real, but because it wasn't helpful. And fear doesn't get to drive the car just because it speaks loudly. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "I failed" with "I'm building." Replace "I'm behind" with "I'm on my own timeline." These aren't affirmations for show. They are mental boundaries. They are how you protect your future from unnecessary damage. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for, because your future self is listening right now. She hears every insult, every doubt, every dismissal, and she also hears every word of encouragement you choose instead. Imagine becoming your own safe place. Imagine being the voice that says, "You're allowed to try again." Imagine choosing words that don't rush your healing but support your becoming. This isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being honest without being harmful. Before 2026 arrives, make this one commitment. You will not speak to yourself in ways that make growth harder. You will correct yourself with compassion. You will challenge yourself with respect. You will speak as if your life depends on it. Because it does. The way you talk to yourself today becomes the confidence you walk with tomorrow. Let's talk about boundaries. Not the walls that shut people out, but the doors that let the right things in. For a long time, many of us confuse kindness with access. We think being loving means being available at all hours. We think being strong means carrying everyone else's emotions along with our own. We think saying yes makes us worthy. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to disappear inside other people's expectations. I learned this lesson quietly, not through one dramatic moment, but through exhaustion, through the feeling of being drained even after a full night's sleep, through the realization that I was pouring from a cup that was never being refilled. Here's the truth that changes everything. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. That doesn't make you selfish. It makes you responsible. Your emotions are sacred. Your energy is finite. Your peace is earned. When you allow people to constantly cross your emotional boundaries, you teach them how to treat you, and you teach yourself that your needs come last. Over time, resentment replaces generosity. Burnout replaces joy. And the very kindness that once defined you begins to feel like a burden. Boundaries are not rejection. They are clarity. They are saying, this is where I end and you begin. They are honoring your limits before your body is forced to enforce them for you. You are allowed to say no without explaining your entire story. You are allowed to step back without guilt. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if others don't understand it. And listen closely. People who truly respect you will adjust. The ones who resist your boundaries are benefiting from you not having any. That realization can hurt, but it's also freeing. Because once you create emotional boundaries, something powerful happens. You start showing up more fully where it matters. You become more present, more patient, more generous. Not because you're depleted, but because you're grounded. Boundaries teach people how to love you properly, and they teach you how to love yourself responsibly. There were moments when I had to choose discomfort over exhaustion, when I had to risk being misunderstood instead of being drained. And every time I chose myself with honesty, I grew stronger, quieter, clearer. You don't need to harden your heart to protect it. You just need to be intentional with it. Ask yourself this: does this connection nourish me, or does it constantly pull from me? Do I feel respected here, or merely tolerated when I'm useful? Am I choosing this out of love, or out of fear of disappointing someone? Your answers matter, because emotional boundaries are not about control. They are about alignment. They help you stay connected to who you are while navigating who others are. Before 2026 arrives, give yourself permission to rest without guilt, to step away without drama, to choose peace over people-pleasing. The strongest version of you is not the one who carries everything, it's the one who knows what to put down. When you protect your emotional space, you make room for growth, clarity, and the kind of love that doesn't ask you to disappear to be accepted. And that kind of peace is worth everything. Let's talk about failure. The word we whisper like it's a verdict, like it's the end of the story. For so many years I was taught to fear failure, to see I as proof that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, ready enough. And every time something didn't work, I didn't just question the outcome, I questioned myself. That's what makes failure so heavy. It's not the fall, it's the meaning we attach to it. But here's the truth that set me free. Failure is not rejection. It is a redirect, as every setback carries instructions. Quiet ones, sometimes painful ones, but always necessary. The most defining moments of my life didn't come from the wins. They came from the doors that didn't open, the roles I didn't get, the plans that collapsed when I thought they were finally working. At the time, it felt like loss. In hindsight, it was protection. Failure has a way of refining you. It strips away ego. It strengthens humility. It teaches resilience in ways success never could. Success can make you comfortable. Failure makes you capable. But we live in a world that rushes recovery. We're told to bounce back quickly, to move on, to stay positive. And in that rush, we miss the lesson. We miss the growth, we miss the quiet wisdom that only comes when something doesn't go your way. Failure is not a full stop. It's a comma. It's an invitation to pause, reflect, and choose again. This time with more clarity, The problem isn't failure, the problem is how personally we take it. One mistake becomes a label, one delay becomes a diagnosis, one closed door becomes a prophecy, and suddenly we're no longer responding to life, we're retreating from it. You are allowed to fail without making it your identity. You are allowed to stumble without calling yourself broken. You are allowed to begin again without shame. There were moments when I had to sit with disappointment longer than I wanted to. Moments when I had to ask myself uncomfortable questions. Not why did this happen to me, but what is this trying to teach me? That question changes everything. Failure teaches you what doesn't align. It teaches you where you need to grow stronger. It teaches you patience, adaptability, and trust. And perhaps most importantly, failure humbles you enough to receive help, guidance, and grace. Faith grows strongest here, because when plans fall apart, you realize how little control you actually have and how much trust you need. You learn to release the illusion of certainty and lean into something deeper, something steadier. Before 2026 arrives, change the way you speak about your failures. Stop narrating them as proof that you're behind. Start honoring them as part of your preparation. The people you admire most didn't avoid failure. They walked through it. Slowly, honestly, and with courage. Your job isn't to never fail. Your job is to fail forward, to rise wiser, to move humbler, to continue braver, because failure doesn't disqualify. It shapes you for what's coming next. And one day you'll look back at the moment you thought broke you and realize it was the moment that built you. Let's talk about gratitude. Not the kind you post when life is perfect, but the kind you practice when it isn't. Because real gratitude doesn't wait for the finish line. It lives in the middle, in the uncertainty, in the unanswered prayers, in the days when you're still figuring it out. For a long time, I believed gratitude was something you earned after success, after the breakthrough, after the healing, after the proof. But life taught me something far more powerful. Gratitude is not the reward, it's the fuel. When you learn to say thank you while the road is still uneven, something shifts inside you. You stop living with clenched fists. You stop measuring your worth by what's missing. You start noticing what's holding you up. Even now, gratitude doesn't deny pain. It gives pain perspective. There were seasons in my life where nothing looked like I hoped it would, where progress felt slow, where the future felt quiet. And yet in those moments, I learned to thank God for breath, for strength, for the ability to try again. Not because everything was good, but because something still was, and that something matters. Gratitude anchors you when circumstances are unstable. It reminds you that you are not defined by what you lack, but by what you choose to see. It turns survival into reverence. It turns waiting into trust. Most people postpone gratitude until life improves. But improvement often begins because of gratitude. When you're grateful, you become more present. When you're present, you become more intentional. When you're intentional, you make better choices. Gratitude doesn't lower your standards. It raises your awareness. It helps you recognize how far you've come without dismissing how far you want to go. It softens the heart without weakening the will. And that balance is powerful. There's also something deeply spiritual about gratitude in the middle. It's faith without evidence. It's trust without guarantees. It's saying, I don't see the whole picture yet, but I believe it's being painted. And belief like that changes how you move through the world. You stop rushing, you stop forcing, you stop panicking when things don't happen on your timeline. Because gratitude teaches patience. It teaches you that not everything arrives when you want it, but everything arrives when you're ready to carry it. I've seen gratitude transform frustration into focus. I've seen it turn comparison into contentment. I've seen it with quiet anxiety when nothing else could. And here's something important. Gratitude is not passive, it's a practice. You choose it daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes moment by moment. You choose it when plans fall through. You choose it when answers are delayed. You choose it when growth feels uncomfortable. And each time you choose it, you strengthen your faith muscle. You tell your soul, we are okay even here. Before 2026 arrives, don't wait for everything to be resolved before you honor what already is. Thanks for the process. Thanks for the lessons. Thank the strength you didn't know you had until life asked for it, because gratitude doesn't mean you settle, it means you trust. And trust has a way of opening doors that force never could. When you learn to be grateful in the middle, you stop living in fear of the future and start walking with peace into it. And that peace is its own kind of success. Let's talk about consistency, the quiet discipline that doesn't look impressive but changes everything. We live in a world obsessed with intensity, big declarations, sudden transformations, overnight success. But real growth doesn't arrive in dramatic moments. It shows up in repetition, in small choices made daily, in showing up even when nothing seems to be changing. Perfection is seductive. It makes you believe that if you can't do something flawlessly, it's not worth doing at all. And that belief is dangerous. Because perfection isn't excellence. I tease fear wearing a beautiful disguise. I learned early that waiting to be perfect kept me stuck. Waiting for the right time, the right version of myself, the right conditions. And while I was waiting, time kept moving, life kept asking, and the moment kept passing. Consistency doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for presence. It asks, can you show up today just as you are? Some days you'll bring energy, some days you'll bring effort, some days you'll only bring honesty. All of it counts. Consistency is how trust is built, internally and externally. It's how your mind learns that you mean what you say. It's how your spirit grows confident in your ability to continue, even when progress feels invisible. Small steps compound. Quiet effort accumulates. Invisible growth becomes undeniable. The truth is, you don't need a breakthrough. You need a rhythm. A rhythm of habits that support who you're becoming. A rhythm of effort that doesn't depend on your mood. A rhythm that turns intention into identity. There were times when my best wasn't impressive. It was just consistent. But consistency carried me through moments where motivation failed and confidence wavered. It kept the door open long enough for the opportunity to finally walk in. And here's what consistency teaches you: patience. It teaches you to trust the process instead of demanding immediate results. It reminds you that growth is rarely linear. And that doesn't mean it isn't happening. When you choose consistency, you stop starting over. You stop quitting on yourself. You stop mistaking slow progress for failure. Perfection creates pressure. Consistency creates momentum. And momentum is powerful. It turns effort into ease over time. What once felt heavy begins to feel natural. What once required force begins to flow. Faith lives here too, because consistency is a form of belief. It's showing up without proof. It's doing the work before the reward. It's trusting that what you're building today will support you tomorrow. Before 2026 arrives, release the need to do everything right. Focus instead on doing one thing faithfully, one habit, one promise, one step forward. Let it be imperfect, let it be quiet, let it be yours, because a year from now, you won't be changed by the days you felt inspired. You'll be changed by the days you stay consistent. And that is how ordinary effort becomes extraordinary life. Before you step into the next season of your life, remember this. You were never meant to have it all figured out before you began. You were meant to walk by faith, not by fear. Every step you take in discipline, every word you speak with kindness to yourself, every boundary you honor, every failure you survive, every moment of gratitude you choose, every day you show up consistently, none of it is wasted. Even when you can't see the results yet, trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. Trust that delays are shaping you, not denying you. Trust that the same hand that placed the dream in your heart is guiding your steps, even now. So don't just hope for a better year. Prepare for it. Show up for it. Walk toward it with courage and humility. Because when faith leads and effort follows, doors open that no force can shut. Step forward with conviction. Live with purpose, and remember, what you are becoming is far greater than what you are leaving behind.